Time for the only radio show of its kind. Auctioneers of antiques, collectors of cool, veterans of vintage. It's the Donnelly Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer. For the next hour, enjoy great information about buying and selling antiques and collectibles, and some interesting stories. Now, the Donnelly Auctions Hour.
Welcome to the Donnelly Auctions Hour. Thank you for joining us. We are here every Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. All you have to say is, Alexa, play the Donnelly Auctions Hour on The Answer, Chicago. I'm Susan, and I'm here today again with my life partner and business partner, Randy Donnelly. We are with Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois. Hi, Randy.
Hey, sweetie. How are you?
How's your voice today? You sound a little bit better.
Well, I think it's better today. Hey, you know, I just noticed on the intro they added stories on the end of that.
Interesting stories.
Is that because
we better change our agenda today.
I've been talking too many stories here.
No, we love the stories. I think that's what the show's all about, is how it relates to auctions. Not just auctions, but, you know, there's a lot of history in what we do. We want to make sure people understand the history, because what's today? Today
is February 11th. Thomas Edison's birthday.
It's Thomas T.E. I call him T.E. He would have been 176 years old today.
Wow. I wonder why he didn't make it.
I know. You'd think he
would have invented a life machine or something to have,
right? Yeah. Thomas Edison's
his life.
Birthday today, he would have been 83. Well, he would have been 176, but he died when he was 83 years old.
World's greatest inventor. 1,100 significant inventions in his lifetime.
How many inventions do you have? One that we haven't patented yet.
Well, it's coming.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
But today we're going to do a little tribute to our favorite hero of all time, Thomas Edison, and how that relates to Edison collectibles. We're going to touch a little bit about that, see what anybody has at home that is extremely valuable today with Edison collectibles. And then at the end of the show, stay with us. We're going to talk about how to actually bid at an auction. Sometimes it can be very intimidating. So we're going to break it down for you and tell you how easy it really is. So, Randy, go ahead. Let's talk about Thomas Edison and his many contributions to our daily lives. A little history lesson for you folks out there today.
Well, you know, Susan, obviously last week we talked about the phonograph auction that we've got coming up soon.
March 18th and 19th, antique phonographs and radios.
And, of course, Thomas Edison invented the phonograph, pre-recorded sound, in 1877. But he had so many significant inventions. I mean, only 2 years later, after probably what at that point was the greatest invention in all history, he comes up with what?
The light bulb.
The electric light bulb in 1879.
That allows us to work more. Thank you, Tom.
It's just so incredible, his inventions. I mean, there's just so many things. He invented the motion picture camera, which gave us the entire motion picture industry. I mean, actors and everything owe their careers to Thomas Edison. It's just phenomenal. But there's so many inventions out there. I mean, 1,100 of them, for God's sakes.
Let's touch on a couple of the key ones of some items that people might have at home.
Well, you know, one invention that I always like to point out is, believe it or not, the electric pen.
An electric pen. I've been asking Randy about this before the show. What the heck is that? Tell us about an electric pen.
Well, electric pen really wasn't a writing device. I mean, it sounds like it the minute you hear electric pen. But what it was is a perforation machine. You would take a pen and write just as if you were, if you write your signature or writing a letter. But what it was doing is perforating the paper in such a little minute pattern so that it could be used as a duplicating device. So what you were actually doing is making a stencil as you were writing with the electric pen so that you could duplicate the entire letter that you wrote. And
so like a copy machine?
It was an early pen. It was an early copy machine.
So it had a little motor on it.
It had an electric motor on the top.
On the pen.
Yeah,
okay.
On the top of the pen. It was really quite a clumsy device.
I'd love to know if anyone has one.
Well, and
I'd like
that's
to see
it.
one. Yeah.
They are around. They do turn up, and for when they go to auction, Susan, they're huge money. I mean, they're normally in the $20,000 range, $30,000 for electric pens.
Wow!
Yeah.
Start looking, everyone, for an electric pen. It would say Edison on it, wouldn't it?
It would.
It would say Edison on it. Yep. Okay, so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about light bulbs. Are those collectible?
There are some. Obviously, he invented the light bulb in 1879, and the earliest light bulbs, a lot of them, they were just made onesies and twosies. They were actually hand blown, all one at a time. And those early light bulbs, most of them that were made were almost made for experimental use or for displays, and they went into museums and colleges and everything. So most of those light bulbs are still around because they were made as display pieces, and they turn up. They do. Those are valuable. But so often people are calling us, hey, I've got a bunch of Edison light bulbs. And when you
Not
get there.
the ones on Amazon.
Well,
because they're real popular now in home decor. So we're not talking about the ones you can buy on Amazon.
The whole look has really come back.
We like the real deal. Yeah.
But the Mazda lamps from the 20s and the 30s, the screw-in base that we're familiar with, traditionally aren't going to bring you any money. So just because it's a Edison Mazda lamp, don't necessarily think that is particularly valuable.
That's right. And Thomas Edison also, there's controversy about whether or not he invented the telephone.
Oh, well, of course he feels he did. The telephone was invented. We all know Alexander Bell has been given credit for the telephone, but Edison was working on it simultaneously with Bell. There are Edison telephones. They are out there. Now, they would look like just a small little wooden box. They don't look like much of anything, but they will have the word Edison inscribed into the wood or on a Bakelite piece or what have you. Those little early Edison telephones again, are exceedingly valuable. We've sold Edison telephones anywhere in the range of $4,000 to $45,000. Right. I mean, big numbers for early Edison telephones. Now, ComEd was making phones, as late as, the 60s, 70s, had Edison on telephones, but those later Edison phones that we're more familiar with, rotary dial, stuff like that, they're not going to bring anything.
My favorite story, one of my many favorite stories about Thomas Edison was that he came up with the greeting that we all know today for the telephone. Alexander Graham Bell came up with the term ahoy. He said, when you answer the phone, you should say ahoy. And Thomas Edison said, no, we should say hello. So can you imagine?
No.
If we had to say ahoy?
No, I can't. I mean, isn't that crazy? I mean, one little thing like that, how that changes our life.
Ahoy. Who is this?
Ahoy.
My favorite, though, is ahoy. Is it me you're looking for?
Yeah, okay.
Lionel Richie's song would have been completely
back to
different,
the
I think.
Susan Comedy Hour.
I'm sorry. But we do have a lot of stories about Thomas Edison. Another favorite one is when he became a hero. You want to touch on that real quick?
Well, Edison, as a boy, was working on the railroad up until I think he was about 15 years old. And there was a situation where the station master's child, only like a 3-year-old child, was actually on the railroad tracks when a railroad car came disconnected or what have you and was rolling toward the child. Edison, of course, quick thinking, jumped out, pulled the child off of the railroad tracks and saved his life. I mean, 3 years old. And for that, Thomas Edison was awarded. The station master actually taught Thomas Edison telegraphy which changed everything.
Wow.
I mean, that one moment in time changed all of our lives. We can touch on that again
right.
when
and
we
also the
when
fact
we get
that
back.
Nikola Tesla also worked for Thomas Edison as an engineer, but he only worked for him for a year. So that
did Henry Ford. They became
did as well.
lifelong friends forever.
Yeah, and we can talk about that coming up in another segment, but we do have a special guest today. You want to talk about that?
Well, no, why don't you introduce him?
I'll introduce our next guest coming up in our next segment. His name is Lou DePasqua. He is currently a musician and a guitarist and a keyboardist, but he was also a singer and a musician that worked with many Chicago bands such as Styx, Survivor, even Jim Peterick. I think, didn't you go to high school with him?
He
Jim
went to
Peterick?
Morton West,
Went to Morton
as I
West,
did.
that's right. We've hired Louis on as an expert consultant in instruments, vintage electronics.
Especially guitars,
He
right?
is
Yeah.
amazing, and he's going to talk a lot about that in our next segment about vintage electronics, guitars, in his opinion, what's hot right now in that industry, what you should be looking for at garage sales, things like that. We'll talk about some speakers and amps and those speakers that just arrived.
Oh, yeah.
So Louis DePasqua coming up next in our next segment. You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour here every Saturday at 1 o'clock for 1 hour on AM 560, The Answer.
They've been called auctioneers of antiques, collectors of cool, even veterans of vintage. And they can introduce themselves. Thanks for listening. This is the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to the Donley Auctions Hour. I'm Susan, and I'm here with Randy. We are the Donleys with Donley Auctions in Union, Illinois. We're located about 60 miles west of Chicago, so come out and visit us sometime. We have a special guest today, folks. Talk about collectors of cool. Not only collectors of cool, but we have cool employees, and this is one of them. Lou DePasqua, he's a musician, a guitarist, keyboardist, and a singer who's worked with, he tells us, Styx, Survivor. Who else, Lou? Jim Peterick.
Everybody in Chicago.
Pretty much Lou knows everybody.
Hey, Louis, welcome.
It's like 360 degrees of
Randy
Louis.
and Susan.
Welcome to the
Thank
show,
you for
Lou.
having me on the show. This is great. I love it. And, been around your auction house for years as a buyer, as a friend, as helping the company and working with you guys, and true passion all the way around.
Well,
Wow.
Louis really, ladies and gentlemen, is new to working with our company, probably the last year or so. We've talked him to come on, but we've known Louis forever. We've known you, 30 plus years.
Yeah,
and,
30 and a half.
We're so excited that you've come aboard to help us with
So what, you were
musical
only like
instruments.
10 years old when you met Randy?
I was 10 years old when I met Randy.
Yeah. In your dreams.
I've only known you a few years, but I've seen you at...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, the history of Donley's, your collecting is just mind-blowing. It's incredible.
'Cause you're a collector as
Stories
well.
I've heard. Yeah, and the hair stand up on my arm when I hear all the amazing stories of the collections that you guys have found, you've sold. I mean, truly, it's an incredible story.
What are
and
some
a
things that
passion.
you collect, Lou, being a musician and an artist in that
I collect,
industry?
I like collecting, music-related items. Everything from guitars to guitar amps to vintage keyboards to vintage equipment, stereo equipment. From from the '60s, mid-century stuff. I mean, and that stuff's all hot. It's fun, and nothing like an old instrument. The sound, the old wood, and not only my passion, but across the music industry, there's so many people that love this stuff. So, and I go back to the turn of the century stuff that you guys sell too, the antique wind-up phonographs, which are incredible, and it's just really been a pleasure to be involved with.
Well, we
your
appreciate
organization.
your expertise for sure.
Well, that's how we met. That's how we met Louis. He was a phonograph collector, or is a phonograph collector, hand crank machines. But what we did not know back when we met years ago, you are the owner operator of Audio Pro Service and a longtime Fender guitar tech and service of musical gear, guitars, amplifiers, keyboards, and that's what you help us with now is identifying valuable guitars, amps, and so on and so forth. So that's a little bit about we really want to talk about today to tell people what we should be looking for in their basements and attics and garages and everything, because we do have our music auction coming up. So,
that's correct. But Lou, I understand a caller from our last show left us an email with some guitars. What do you know about that? What did he have?
Yeah, we actually just 15 minutes ago, I received a phone call with someone that has a large collection of acoustic guitars.
Are they
names like
vintage
Martin,
or new?
which are they're newer, but they're incredible guitars.
Okay, so go ahead.
Martin,
What brand names?
Taylor, which I own personally, a Taylor acoustic guitar, handmade, incredible tone. And of course, when you talk about Martin stuff, like it brings to mind for me the Martin acoustic guitar we had sold. Randy, you may want to
remember that?
And we did talk about that last week. Yeah,
it was a D18,
Okay,
a D18 Martin. We sold it for $40,000.
Yeah.
Right.
But, you brought something up interesting right now, Louis, in that what you're saying is guitars especially don't necessarily need to be antique. You said more modern. So if they're a high quality like Fender, Gibson, or some of the other top brands that you can
Which
name.
one did you say,
Right.
Lou? Which one did you say?
Gretsch is one of the guitars.
Gretsch, good.
Okay.
Different
Good.
guitars that are very desirable. Anything, I mean, you can go back to the 20s, like the Gibson mandolin, those mandolins moving forward through the 30s and 40s and the 50s, the era of the serious era of the electric guitar, like Fender electric guitars, Stratocaster, the Telecaster, Gibson,
Nice.
Les Paul, right?
Les Paul just seems to be the classic. If you hear the word Les Paul guitar, it's just like, are they all valuable, or are there some Les Pauls that are less money?
There's less. There are less money Les Pauls, that they sell the lower end stuff. But primarily, I mean, Gibson made high quality guitars and makes high quality guitars along with Fender. So, anything across the board, but like 50s and 60s, 70s into the 90s. I mean, they're making reproduction guitars of the older guitars that are incredible. They're fabulous to play. They're all high quality.
Lou, do you have any autographed guitars in your adventures with Styx or Survivor? Anything from Tommy?
I when I'm with the band, I try to, I got some autograph stuff, but I'm looking for, I would say, I need Randy, you, and Susan to sign a guitar for me.
Oh,
you guys are my heroes too. I know it sounds like BS.
I was just going to sign your chest. That's all I was going to do.
That's even better yet. You bet.
Hey,
I mean, a little bit. If you want, I can cover a little bit of the history.
We're talking about guitars right now, but what about since we've got this auction coming up with the antique phonographs and everything, tell us what's hot in turntables and speakers and amplifiers, more of the electronic. I always think of you as our electronics expert. So what could people be finding?
Yeah, I mean,
and not the ones that
really
everybody's buying on Amazon. Not those.
Like these are high quality, let's say, tube amplifiers, Mirage, threshold amplifiers, and Mirage speakers, and you get into Macintosh. Any of the Macintosh stuff is great. The Marantz, made some nice stuff. There's a whole slew. If it's vintage, send us an email. We'd like to review Harman Kardon.
Right. Send us an email.
So much.
Let me give that information real quick too.
Sure. Yeah.
Now that you mention that, email us at Donley Auctions with an S. It's DONLEY, Donley Auctions at Outlook.com. Just send us an email.
Right.
If you have a picture or two, I will hand that off to Louis. He will definitely look at what you have. He'll give you a call and tell you about next steps and figure out what to do from that point. He knows a lot about this equipment.
It is surprising. It is surprising how many calls we did get from last week's show. We asked about radios, and boy, we ended up in I don't know, 4 different homes in the Chicago area, in the Arlington Heights area, actually, all seem to be calling from this. And we really, uncovered some amazing, fun stuff that will be in future auctions.
That's right. Because, the auction industry is changing as well. It's not so much antiques in the electronics field as it is vintage turntables, the stuff that Louis talked about, speakers and amps and things like that. So give us a call if you have anything like that. Again, our phone number is 815-923-7000. You can call us anytime.
And remember, what is today? Today is Thomas Edison's birthday.
Happy birthday, Tom. We're going to talk some more about
birthday, Thomas.
Tom coming up in our next segment. But Louis, I don't want to let you go yet. You have a story here I want to share with everyone, and that is about that piano that you personally got to play in California. I'll let you talk about that in our next segment.
But hold on to that, because, I did tell people in last week's show that most pianos that you're going to find have no value. And then here we've got one coming up.
But this is a very special piano. Come on, there's nothing else like it. Okay. And Louis was there in person. We're going to share that story with us. Now, I do have, back to Thomas Edison, a quick trivia question for everybody. What are the nicknames of 2 of Thomas Edison kids? I'll tell you the answer to that in our next segment. Don't go anywhere. You are listening to the Donnelly Auctions Hour here every Saturday at 1 o'clock on AM 560, The Answer.
You're listening to the Donnelly Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to the Donnelly Auctions Hour. Thanks for hanging with us during that break. We have our special guest here today, Louis DePasqua, talk about cool employees. We've got a rock star with us, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, Lou. You still there?
Still here. I'm in the middle of cutting our new songs for the radio station.
I bet you are. Little plug. We need one of those bells, a little plug for Louis. But I just realized, Louis, when you say you have too much time on your hands, you're really just quoting a song, aren't you? I thought you were literal when you'd say that to us.
Yeah, well,
I didn't get the joke.
The story is the relationship with the band Styx.
Yes.
And, I toured with them in 91 as the backup keyboard player and ended up in the solo band for the most amazing rock guitar player-singer in the world, James Young, in the James Young Group. So
JY.
He had some good history playing keyboards, guitar, and singing on the album.
I just want to say I want to meet him someday, so you'll have to bring him out. JY, come out and visit us. We'd love to meet you. But real quick, Lou, I want to go back to, I had a trivia question in the last segment about what are the nicknames of Thomas Edison's first 2 children? Do you know the answer? I know Randy knows the answer. He's the one who told me. But I thought it was interesting. His kids' nicknames are Dot and Dash. I love that. I'm going to name my next dogs that, Dot and Dash.
Yeah.
Not my kids.
Well, I said to Susan, I said, well, as interesting as that is, there may be many listeners out there that don't even get Dot and Dash because they don't know about Morse code.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Morse code is the technology of telegraph, the dots and the dashes, that a telegraph sender, a person sending a message, would be on clicking a key that is dots and dashes.
Yeah, I just thought that was a great little trivia question
that was
for
a
everybody.
big form of communication.
That's
our turn of the century.
It really was. I mean, think about that. We're doing telegraph before there is such a thing as telephone and phonographs and so on and so forth.
Well, I just wanted to bring that up as part of our Thomas Edison tribute today. But let's get back to Louis. Louis, you had an interesting little field trip with us. Was that last year? To California.
Oh, yeah,
Tell us what you discovered in San Francisco.
Well, an earthquake, first off.
An earthquake happened, yes.
It really did happen. There was an experience. But more so, we went out to visit with the famous artist known for artwork for the Grateful Dead and other bands.
That's right.
Stanley House.
We did touch on him a couple shows ago, but we got to tell you, when we went to visit Stanley, we brought Louis with us, and he has a piano there Tell them all about it.
Yeah, an amazing old Steinway piano that came out of one of the major recording studios on the West Coast. That performances from artists like John Lennon, Elton John, and on and on.
Count Basie. I mean,
get any bigger than that?
The crazy thing about this is on the key cover, all the when you lift it up, all the artists like John Lennon and Elton and so on that played on, they autographed it. So this piano is all autographed. And when we get back to provenance, you talk about provenance. This came out of everything. A Columbia recording studio, just absolutely incredible. Now it's owned by Stanley Mouse, and here
and he wants to put it up for auction. I understand.
We have consigned it for a future auction, right? So, as well as a lot of Stanley Mouse's art.
Yep, that'll be coming up too. So stay with us for more information on that. But Louis, I understand that you got to play the piano. Come on, how cool was that?
I did. Well, it was better than that. We came in and Stanley Mouse in the room. I was able to meet him for the first time. I know Randy had met him before.
You guys have similar hairstyles.
And he played an original. He played an original song on this piano, and it was incredible. So. What an experience! And then he was kind enough to let me sit down and play a little bit of Bohemian Rhapsody on the piano, and it just a dream come true. An incredible piano to think that these names, these incredible artists had sat at this piano and played these songs and recorded on this piano that songs that became history.
That's amazing. I don't think we're going to be bringing it to Illinois. I think we're going to be auctioning it directly from the San Francisco
auction it in
site.
Place, right? Yeah. But we're talking about a piano here that will sell for over $1 million.
Right. Yeah.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, there's no question about that.
I'm so glad you got your hands on it, Lou, because really you would never notice it. It's just a normal Steinway piano, but you lift up the cover and there's the history.
Right.
So, again, the importance of provenance and everything that you might have, the story behind it can be more valuable than the item itself.
Right. And I appreciate the opportunity to be able to go out there. So thank you guys for that. And
again, Louis, thank you so much for being part of our team. You're the coolest guy to have. And if you ever come out and you hear some singing happening in the background, it's always Louis.
And that's it. That's it, folks. I mean, we've got some really great people helping us at Donnelly Auctions, and we've got experts in various fields. So whatever you have at home, don't hesitate to contact us, and we will get the right people to look at it for you.
That's right. And coming up in our next segment, we've talked about how to consign, right? Let's talk about how you can actually bid in an auction. Stay right there. Join us after the break. You're listening to the Donnelly Auctions Hour every Saturday on AM 560, The Answer.
And now, more of the Donnelly Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
We are back with the Donnelly Auctions Hour. I'm Susan with Donnelly Auctions, and my partner in crime here, Randy Donnelly. We are with Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois. I think Louis is still on the phone with us.
Well, wait a second. I hope you're saying that jokingly. My partner in crime.
Oh, no. Did I say that?
Yes, you did.
Okay, not in crime. My partner in adventure and fun. Sorry.
Yeah. Sure.
Louis is still on the phone with us. Don't you have work to do, Lou? What are you doing back there at the office?
You know what? My feet are up in the air. I've got a cup
Talking
of coffee,
on the phone.
And I love this radio station stuff.
Oh, we love the radio, too. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
but back to what we were talking about before, the Stanley Mouse piano. I'm so glad you got a chance to go meet him. I knew you guys would love it and talk about how you keep your hair so curly and stuff. So that's always good. But this segment, Lou, we're going to talk about how to actually bid at an auction. A lot of people are very intimidated by that entire process. So I thought I would just leave you on the phone because you, not only as a collector, you bid from home, you bid on the phone, you bid live with us. That's how you obtain your collection. So I wanted to ask you, how easy is it to bid at one of Donnelly Auctions?
It's a press of a button. It's that easy. Literally, you would register for the auction. After registration, when the auction starts, you're there, you see the lots. If you want to bid, you bid. You watch your bids. You can see the auctioneer. You can hear the auctioneer.
It can be kind of dangerous, too. So always make sure you know what your limit is with your budget.
Right. Well, ahead of time, you do your research. You study the items. I mean,
right.
I'll be, a month ahead of time, and you can store your items that you're interested in, and it's exhilarating. It really is. I love it.
So if anyone ever has any questions about how to bid online, because there's a lot of ways you can bid, right? So that's one way.
Yeah.
You can bid online through our bidding platforms. Right. If you want us to walk you through that, my staff are so good at this. Just give us a call at 815-923-7000. They'll walk you through that because you can do it on your phone, too. Another way to bid is just to come to the auction. We're here in Union, Illinois.
I'm an old timer at auctions.
You're like Randy, you want to be there in person.
That's it. I want to go touch it, look at it, see
Smell
it,
it.
and know what it is I'm buying. I'm very proud of the photographs that we do take. We've got great photographers at Donnelly Auctions, and we photograph everything. We photograph all the flaws that you want to see and so on. So when you're bidding off of our website, you're pretty well assured you're bidding on what you really are going to get. But I'm still one. I like to go there in person.
You want to see it. That's right.
I like to go for the coffee and donuts and free pizza for lunch.
For sure.
In case I haven't mentioned that before, if you do come live, we're in Union, Illinois, out by the Wild West town. You walk in the door, right? That's the first thing. You walk in the door with a good attitude. Our office staff are there to welcome you. All we ask is for a driver's license. We just want to know who's there. We're not going to do anything with it. It's mainly for registration purposes and a FOID card if we're selling firearms. You fill out a registration form. We get all your basic general information that we keep private and secure in our office. We give you a bidder number. Okay, that's where all the fun begins. You go into the banquet hall or auction gallery, get your coffee and donuts. We also have pizza and beer at lunchtime. It's all complimentary, comfortable tables and chairs. We even have couches and recliners.
Right. No registration fee, There's cost to come.
Admission. Yeah. People ask, how much is it? Well, it doesn't cost anything because we're hoping that you will, buy something at the auction that you've been looking for. So you can come there live. You can bid online. What if you don't want to do either one of those?
Telephone.
You can get on the phone with us. So that's one of the things I like to do at the auctions, are phone bids. You call us, you submit a request to put in a phone bid, and we really only take those for items that are like $500 and up, give or take. It's got to be the good stuff. It can't be $25 items and 100 of them, So we are very selective.
Only because we just don't have the manpower to have that many people online.
That's right. So for our bigger auctions, we do have more people on the phones. We call you up, and I bid on your behalf as if you were there live. But you're sitting on your couch in your pajamas, and you just say, yep, or I'm out. That's the only thing you have to do. And I bid on your behalf. It's that easy. And the beauty of that is that we save you 5% on the buyer premium by not having to bid online.
All right. Mm-hmm.
Right? So
that's exactly right.
It's a good thing to put phone bids. And then if you don't want to do any of that, the third way is an absentee bid. And again, we have a form you fill out. You just tell us what your max bid is. And Randy, as our auctioneer, can tell you a little bit about how that works from an absentee bid standpoint, how you don't start at their max bid.
Well, no, certainly we would always take the bid as it starts. And if you left an absentee bid, for example, and we're at you've got an absentee bid of, say, $200 on an item, and it's only $25 on the floor. We're bidding in your behalf of $30. Somebody bids $35, you're at $40. We do not take your $200 bid and go $200. Absolutely not. So we bid just as if you are there live for you.
That's right, because we're always looking for ways to save you a little bit on those extra fees with the buyer's premium, and one way is cash is king. Pay with cash, you save 3%. If you use a credit card, you got to pay the credit card fee, right? And then, of course, there's good old Illinois state sales tax, which is 7%. So keep that in mind when you're bidding, to bid a little less than your max to include some of those extra fees. But if you come live in person and pay cash, you're going to be saving money the most economical way.
And have a good time. It's fun.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It really is. So come on out and see us. Go to our website, DonleyAuctions.com. It's DONLEY auctions.com. There'll be links there on how to get to our auctions so you can get registered. Again, you're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour here on AM 560, The Answer. Thanks, Louie. We'll see you back at the office.
Thank you. We'll see you in a little bit.
The Donley Auctions Hour continues now on AM 560, The Answer.
We are back with the Donley Auctions Hour. I want to start it with saying ahoy!
Ahoy, Susan.
Ahoy, Randy! as you all learned from our past segments, Alexander Graham Bell wanted all of us to say ahoy when you answer the phone, but Thomas Edison said, absolutely not.
It's going to be hello.
We're going to say hello.
Hello. And
so thank goodness. That's just weird.
Ahoy.
Ahoy. We're trying to reach you about your extended warranty. No, I'm just glad it's not it. But anyway, thanks for joining us again, everyone. We just got off the phone with Lou DePasqua. He is our expert resident on vintage electronics. Give us a call at 815-923-7000 if there's anything you have questions on.
Sure. And, a few items I wanted to bring up. We do have all kinds of items coming up in our auctions, but, primarily right now we're looking toward phonographs, music boxes, and so on and so forth. But there's so many other things that fit into that. I wanted to point out a sign that we found locally, a sign that an advertising sign for phonographs.
Because advertising is big in the auction world.
Advertising is so big, and that's why I'm bringing this up. The sign that we had sold for $30,000.
I remember it was beautiful. It was big, it was double-sided.
Yep. Beauty.
Was it porcelain? I think it was porcelain.
No, it was reverse lit glass.
That's
early.
It said Victrola on it, and it had the Nipper dog.
It was so neat.
It was great. So again,
now
advertising is big.
Another piece that ties into this Thomas Edison birthday is a camera, the Technicolor camera that we found right here locally in Chicago. It was a Technicolor camera, Susan. Well, I want to just remind everybody, Edison invented motion pictures. So the Technicolor camera that filmed the movie Gone with the Wind was sitting here right in Chicago. And we sold that for like $75,000.
Wow.
Susan. I mean, there's a lot of money to be found in your attics, basements, garages, and in your home, too. I'm not saying everything's out in storage somewhere, but who knows what's sitting around.
Nice homes,
That's
right.
the whole thing.
Right.
Yep.
And all of it is just great at auction. We have, like you said, the antique phonographs and radios, musical instruments coming up. I said the date wrong at our last episode. Yeah, it's March 18th and 19th. It's a Saturday and a Sunday.
Oh,
so
mark your calendar.
So we're still taking consignments for that, or?
Well, we are select pieces. I mean, right now we're already stocking up for April.
So, April Spring Classic.
Oh, my gosh.
It's going to be anywhere from 2 to 4 days, April 28th, 29th, 30th.
And we're taking antique cars, motorcycles, porcelain signs, gas pumps. We even have bars and back bars.
Architecture.
Oh, my, chandeliers, just all kinds of great, fun stuff.
We talked about bidding live at an auction. That's definitely one you want to come out to see if it's your first time. It's really an event. There's people from all over the world attending it. The items that we have are just so eclectic and unusual and different. If you're just becoming a new collector, this would be the auction to come to, in addition to, of course, the antique phonograph one. But April is going to be a fun one.
It is. I mean, it's a sightseeing adventure. It really is.
It really is.
So
did you mention the coffee and donuts? I don't know if we ever mentioned coffee and donuts. So you got free parking. There's free parking at our place.
Susan never lets me hear the end of it because I'm a stickler.
Donuts are bad for you people.
I'm a stickler about having donuts at our auctions.
Fattening.
And Susan never lets me forget about it.
But come on out. We'd love to show you how the auction process works. We'd love to meet you. Call us.
Call us, yeah.
Call us, 815-923-7000. Our email is donleyauctions@outlook.com. If you'd like to submit a request for Louie or Randy's review, to value any of the items we have, we'd be happy to do that for you. And we hope you return to the Donnelly Auctions Hour next Saturday on AM 560, The Answer. Thanks for listening, everyone. For now, I'm Susan.
And I'm Randy Donnelly.
And we'll see you at the auction.
Thanks for listening to the Donnelly Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer. Check out all the latest information on upcoming auctions and collectibles at DonnellyAuctions.com. And while you're there, you can contact someone about buying or selling your collectibles or estates. That's DonnellyAuctions.com.